The world had never seen a Super Bowl like this before. The stadium was packed, the energy electrifying, and millions watched from their homes, eagerly waiting for the showdown between the New England Titans and the California Stingers. But none of them knew that the night would take an unexpected turn, one that would be talked about for years to come. High above the roaring crowd, inside one of the most luxurious private skyboxes Saturday, Charles Wentworth III, a billionaire tycoon, known for his ruthless business acumen and love for high-stakes bets. He owned half the companies sponsoring the Super Bowl, but tonight, he had something far more thrilling on his mind. His sharp eyes scanned the field, but he wasn't focused on the players. No, Charles had a wager unlike any other, a gamble that had nothing to do with football, but everything to do with legacy. A high-stakes wager. As the national anthem concluded, Charles leaned toward the man sitting next to him, Jonathan Mercer, a fellow billionaire and his longtime rival. Jonathan smirked, sipping his $1,000 whiskey, knowing that Charles wouldn't invite him here without a reason. "Let's make things interesting," Charles said, his voice smooth yet charged with excitement. Jonathan raised an eyebrow. "What are you thinking, Wentworth?" Charles pulled out a sleek black briefcase and placed it on the glass table between them. With a click, he opened it, revealing a neatly stacked fortune in crisp $100 bills. $10 million, Charles said, his eyes locked onto Jonathan's. "But that's not all. If I win, I take your yacht, the Ocean's Crown." Jonathan let out a short laugh. "And if I win?" Charles leaned back, a confident smirk on his face. "You get Wentworth Tower." A hush fell over the private box. Even the security guards stationed at the door glanced at each other in shock. Wentworth Tower was the crown jewel of Charles's empire. A skyscraper worth billions, a landmark in the heart of New York City. Jonathan's smirk widened. "You must be insane." "I've never been more serious." The room grew tense. Both men had played dangerous games before, but this was beyond reckless. Jonathan stared at Charles, trying to read him. The crowd below roared as the coin toss took place, but inside the skybox, the only sound was the ticking of an antique clock on the wall. "All right," Jonathan finally said, shaking Charles's hand. "What's the bet?" The impossible challenge. Charles's grin widened. He pointed at the massive jumbotron, where the camera had zoomed in on a rookie kicker from the Titans, Evan Holt. Fresh out of college. Evan was a last-minute replacement, an unknown name in a sea of legends. He had barely made it onto the team, and no one expected him to be a game-changer. "My bet," Charles said, "is that Evan Holt will make the game-winning field goal." Jonathan burst into laughter. "You're betting everything on a rookie? A guy who's never played a Super Bowl in his life?" Charles simply nodded. "That's the bet." Jonathan shook his head, still chuckling. "You've lost your mind, but fine. I'll take that bet." The wager was set. But Charles had a secret, one that no one knew, not even Jonathan. The billionaire's secret play. As the game progressed, it became clear that it was going to be one for the history books. Both teams played with relentless intensity, exchanging leads in a battle of titanic proportions. The fourth quarter arrived, and the Titans were down by 2 points with just seconds left on the clock. They had one chance, a 57-yard field goal attempt, and the fate of the game rested on Evan Holt. The stadium held its breath. The commentators couldn't believe the pressure being placed on an untested rookie. The camera panned to his face, young, determined, but clearly nervous. What no one knew was that Charles had been mentoring Evan in secret for years. Long before Evan had even made it to the NFL, Charles had been his silent benefactor, paying for his training, ensuring he got the best coaches, and even giving him mental conditioning sessions with the world's top psychologists. Charles had seen potential in Evan when no one else had. And now, the moment had come. The kick that shocked the world. Evan took a deep breath, steadied himself, and charged toward the ball. His foot connected with perfect precision. The ball soared through the air, spinning rapidly as it cut through the stadium lights. Time seemed to slow. The crowd was silent. Then the ball sailed through the uprights. The Titans had won. The stadium exploded in cheers. Fans screamed, players rushed the field, and Evan was lifted onto the shoulders of his teammates. He had done the impossible. In the skybox, Jonathan sat in stunned silence, his drink frozen midway to his lips. Charles, meanwhile, simply smiled and extended his hand. "I believe Wentworth Tower is still mine," he said. Jonathan, shaking his head in disbelief, let out a dry chuckle. "You knew, didn't you?" Charles simply winked. A good businessman never places a bet he isn't ready to win. Legacy sealed. That night, Charles Wentworth III didn't just win a bet, he cemented a legend. The story of the billionaire who wagered a skyscraper on a single kick became the talk of the world. Evan Holt, once an unknown rookie, became an overnight superstar. And Wentworth Tower remained a symbol of calculated risk and ultimate reward. As the city skyline twinkled under the moonlight, Charles looked out from his private suite, sipping his victory champagne. He had gambled everything and he had won. Because in the end, he always did.